much. You are all welcome to this CIA revision session. It's it's been a long CIA session during the year, and over time, I always feel that we should find a way to discuss with candidates who are already in the journey, or candidates who are approaching to join the CIA certification journey. You are all welcome. My name is Alaba Awolaja. People call me Progressive, and I call myself Progressive because I like to help others to grow. And this is the way I contribute to the growth of professionals like me around the world. You are all welcome to our first global revision session. These sessions we have been having are private sessions and our own company session. But this one is public because we promised our CIA candidate that we'll be having revision, and it's good that every one of us in the internal auditing and GLC community benefit from this session. Please let me know if you can hear me clearly before I move on, and let me also know if you can see my laser pointer on the screen. Can you see my laser pointer? You can just react. Okay. So I can move on. I think everything is okay. My sound is good, and I can continue to discuss. Now, let's move on. Okay, these are the things that we do in the year. We have had series of CIA sessions. I mean, we have discussed essentials of internal auditing and other parts of the CIA exam. However, we also have some private sessions with some internal audit professionals who are busy, who says, okay, Alaba, I will still like also have a private session on this discussion. And again, we are internal auditors, and that is what we do every time. Apart from speaking to CI candidates globally, we also practice internal auditing and GLC by providing services. Now, let's move on. Okay, to some, I am not new, and to others, I will be new. If you are for the first time, congratulations. And if this is not your first time of knowing who Progressive Alaba Awolaja is, um, I'm an internal auditor. Although we do not like to talk about ourselves, but if we don't talk about our achievements and our challenges, we will talk about them. So I'm an internal auditor and also a global thought leader in the profession. And to the glory of God, I've been recognized globally. And recently, I was recognized locally um, as a valuable contributor in the IIA Nigeria chapter platform. So this is just about me. I like speaking about internal auditing. I've been doing that since 2019, just speaking and motivating internal auditors so that they can be successful, just like as I'm growing in the profession. Now, this is how we will flow. Um, I'm going to have this introduction session discussing various things about the exam, challenges, my opinion. Everything I say here are just my opinion. They are just based on my experience about the exam. And for example, I've been on the journey of CI certification since 2010. Since May 2010, I have started that journey of CIA certification. That was when the CIA exam was 4 parts. However, I had my challenges, I had my issues. I couldn't take a CIA exam until I started all over again in 2016. So one thing you are going to have find in this session is that I'm going to talk about some things that we do wrong, some things that causes or contribute to the failure rate, and some things that I believe, in my opinion, would help CI candidates to pass the exam. The most important thing for you is to pass the exam. However, that is if you are committed to passing this exam. Because the challenge we have as internal auditors is that we are all busy. And when we are busy, it's difficult for us to prepare for exam. And majority of us are already engaged in one job or the other. So we are all busy. The time to actually to actually practice or read or study well for these exams are not really there. So, in my opinion, you need time for this exam. So, if you have seen questions that you'll be seen here before, what you need to do is just to pay attention again. Our CI candidates, some of the CI candidates that already know me, they know that fine, you may see something that you have seen before, but when we begin to discuss, maybe I could be inspired to say something that will make you understand that concept, something that will make you understand that context, something that will make you understand that principle or standard better than it used to be. So it is possible that you might have seen the things that I'm going to be talking about before. It is possible, but the strength that you need to build in CIA preparation is that regardless of how many times you have seen that thing again, be sure that it is. Be sure that you know it. Be sure that your response is true yesterday and it's also true today. So do not say, oh, I know this, I don't have to look at it, I don't have to look at all the options. No, this is easy question. Please, there is no easy question in any exam. If it is easy, you don't need to take exam before getting certified. So no matter how easy you think that question is, pay attention again. So we discussed some techniques, then we apply some concrete techniques, then I conclude. So it is not possible for us to treat all questions. It is not possible for us to see all questions. No. The most important thing for this exam is to learn from each and every question that you encounter in your preparation. Even if you use 1,000 practice questions, good. They don't. It doesn't mean you will pass the exam. Even if you have 20,000 number in terms of number of questions that you have seen, the most important thing is to learn from the question that you are seeing, because you will never see the same question again in the example. So the scenario that I established in those questions are just for you to prepare for future scenarios that we see in the actual exam. So do not say, I've seen this is cheap question. No. When you go to IICI learning system, you see easy questions. Yet it will be difficult for some people, because how easy a question is or how difficult a question might be depends on your extensive studying for this exam. You might have studied very well, prepared extensively, so you will still find some questions easy. However, that will not be true for whosoever that has not prepared enough for this exam. So that is it. Now, in my opinion, I always want to start using this pass rate. It is not to scare us. It is just for us to prepare for what is coming. Sometimes, in my opinion, if we don't look at the pass rate, okay, thank you. If you don't look at the pass rate, you might not have a better perspective about how to prepare for this exam. So this pass rate will tell you the story or the journey to get certified. This is a very nice certification to have, most especially if you are an internal auditor. I understand that some of us might be other professional, GRC professional or accounting professional. However, the most important thing is that once you are in this profession called internal auditing, you have a responsibility to learn enough, to study enough and get certified, just as you have been certified or just as you have been certified as an accountant or as an information system auditor or things like that. Now, let's talk about few aspects of the pass rate. Before now, I think around 2018 or 2019, um, the the IIA does or did not disclose the CIA exam pass rate based on each part. I mean, essentials of internal auditing, practice of internal auditing, and business knowledge for internal auditing. But let me tell you my story so that you know where I belong to in all of these pass rates. Although I said I started this journey in 2011, and don't bother about how long it took me to become a CIA. Don't worry. I just want to share this my experience for so that people can learn from this experience. I started as early as 2010. That was my journey. But I think the CIA class that I went for was in 2011. But the journey actually started in 2010, around May. Now, in 2016, in November 2016, I took my first CIA exam. So I am one of these 40% people that passed the whole exam. This 40% is telling you about the whole CIA Part 1, CIA Part 2 globally. And the exam is taken in different languages. So language could also be a barrier too. I'm a Nigerian. My first language is not English. I have my own language. So because English is our official language in Nigeria, so I think I learned English, and English was like a strength, in my opinion, to me. English was like a strength. Now, so I successfully passed the CIA exam, and I was among those 40% who passed. So CIA Part 1, CIA Part 2, and CIA Part 3 together, 40% people passed. So I found I was lucky to be among them. Now, I didn't take this exam again, the CIA Part 2, until 2017. Remember, I said I took my first exam in November 2016. I didn't take the second exam until August 2017. Until August 2017. So I was among the 42% who passed CIA Part 1, CIA Part 2, or CIA Part 3 together globally. Okay. I didn't just take the exam again. I waited and waited and waited until November 2018. No, not in November. It was in December 2018. December 28, 2018, because I remember it was just a month after my wedding in 2018. So I took the CIA Part 3 exam, and I'm proud to say that I successfully passed the CIA Part 3 exam on that day. And that placed me among the 43% who passed the exam. Don't forget that I said that it is the combination of CIA Part 1, 2, 3. That is, the number you are seeing is the average during the year. Why did it take me so long to complete all the 3 parts? I said I started that journey as early as 2010, but it took me so long to pass the exam. It was just because I didn't have enough money to take the exam. So I took the advantage of the available 3-year program. I have 3 years to take the exam. So I took the advantage of the available 3-year program to save enough for each of the parts. During that time, my job role was not demanding, because 2016 to 2018, my job role was not as demanding as it is now. And that means it gave me enough time to review several exam materials for each part. So I never failed any of the CIA parts. Are we together? The CIA, I didn't fail any parts. So I'm not among the people that contributed to the failure rate. Now, what I want to tell us here is that every one of you has ample time to pass the exams within the program period without rushing. Within that 3 years period, you have enough time to study extensively to pass this exam. without having to rush. Because the challenge we have with CIA candidates is the fact that we are always rushing. We want to get certified. We are always rushing to get certified. Now, let's go ahead for more. This is the current pass rate. I said earlier that IIA started publishing the pass rate by part. So this is the one for as at 2023. This is the current one that they released. So I am very sure that IIA released the CIA pass rate for 2021 and 2023. But to the best of my knowledge, the IIA did not release the pass rate for the year 2022. Now, based on the published pass rate that you can all see for CIA Part 1 in 2021 and 2023, the essentials of internal auditing are more challenging for candidates than any other part. Now, in 2021, the pass rate for CIA Part 1, essentials of internal auditing, was 43% in 2021. I said earlier that there was no pass rate for 2022. And that 43% in 2021 was the highest that I've seen in recent times. But in 2023, that rate came down again to 41% from 43%. The question is, why are more candidates failing the exam than passing the exam? Why? Why are we failing? We need to ask ourselves some questions. Are the people taking these exams not internal auditors? Are they not practicing internal auditors? There are so many questions that we can ask about why people fail this exam. In my opinion, there is no reason to fail if we all took our time and do what we have to do to pass. The challenge is always that I said we are always rushing to pass. Let's move on. Why CIA exam pass rates are lower than other accounting certifications? Now, if you know why the pass rate is low, then you will appreciate the fact that you are in this session so that you will prepare for the future. You are going to take this exam and you will be passing it if you are well equipped with the appropriate guidance that you need to pass the exam. Now, the first thing that you must understand about this exam is the fact that the CIA certification syllabus covers a broad scope and provides comprehensive coverage of the body of knowledge regarding the professional practice of internal auditing. That is the first challenge. That is the first challenge. So, this exam covers professional ethics, internal audit standards and processes, governance, risk management, control processes and applications, control frameworks, risk management frameworks, organization, a lot of things. So we have a wide range of topics regarding internal auditing that is covered. So the exam covers aspect of information technology, fraud risk and prevention and detection, business processes, operations, management, accounting, finance, project management. Many things are covered. So the broad scope and the comprehensive coverage means that internal auditors must know multiple areas based on the body of knowledge related to the professional practice of internal auditing, which can be challenging to master. That is the first challenge that you have. Learning so many things or too many things to become a CIA based on the BOK of internal auditing. The other aspect is specialized BOK focusing on internal auditing. it is true that the CIA certification exam syllabus covers a specialized area and it's focused on standard way or professional way of practicing internal auditing, or I can also call it modern internal audit practice. Because, like I used to say, some CIA candidates are still practicing in the past. They are still practicing before the establishment of the Institute of Internal Auditors. They are still practicing in the past. I think the Institute of Internal Auditors is 1941 or 1940. So some people are still practicing before that year. So another aspect is that unlike other certifications like CA or Certified Management Accounting CMA, which cover specific area of financial accounting and management accounting, the CIA exam is specialized. It is basically on modern internal audit practice according to the standard, according to the best practices. So you may have experience in accounting, you may have experience in finance, but you may still be unfamiliar with modern internal audit concepts, modern internal audit frameworks, modern body of knowledge regarding frameworks or best practices for internal auditing. So the accounting, the external auditing or finance experience or knowledge that you have may still be inadequate to pass the CIA exam. Get this honestly. It may not be enough. So one of the challenges that CIA candidates have is overconfidence. I've been practicing internal auditing for 10 years, for 5 years, for 20 years, for 30 years. Is it not what we have been practicing? The truth is that that's your experience may not be enough to pass the exam unless you learn modern internal auditing practices. Now, let's talk about the other part, limited practical IPPF-based internal audit experience. This is similar to this. Even though CIA candidates may have X years of experience in traditional or conventional internal audit practice, which is taken from accounting or external auditing, you may still have limited practical experience based on the IIA's International Professional Practices Framework. Inside the IPPF, the International Professional Practices Framework, that is where we derive the body of knowledge for internal auditing, which is similar, but with lots of differences to what we already know in accounting or in finance or in external auditing. So the Certified Internal Auditor Certification Exam aligns with the body of knowledge that has been established by the IIA's IPPF. I mean, the Institute of Internal Auditors Global. So the truth is that before the exam, some candidates may possess limited practical experience on the IPPF or internal auditing practices based on the IIA's International Professional Practices Framework. That is a key area. Unless you are able to overcome that challenge of having a limited experience on modern internal audit practice, a candidate is it is unlikely that that candidate will pass the exam. So while you may have a general accounting or finance experience, the exam specifically will test your knowledge, your experience, your skills regarding modern internal auditing practices established by the IPPF. And these can be quite different from your traditional accounting or finance or external auditing rules. That is the major challenge. If you agree with this challenge, then you will pass this exam. Now, another thing that I would like to add to this area is that you should remember that this exam has a global relevance. It's a global exam. It's a global certification. This exam is globally recognized. It is recognized in UK, US, Canada, and other places. So it makes the certification relevant across different regulatory or customary environments. It means that you need to be familiar with global practices, with global standards. And these requirements can increase the complexity for those candidates who are focusing on requirements who are focusing on their local requirements. Maybe let's say what we know how we do it in Nigeria. This is how we do internal auditing in Nigeria. But you are taking an exam that has a global relevance. So you have to be prepared, because the way you approach internal control in Nigeria is not the way we approach it globally. So even internal auditors who have been internal control officers for ages, we still have challenges with internal control application in CIA exam. That is my experience. Yes, because the requirement is global, not the local that we are used to. Unless you are working in a global organization in your country, you may likely have experience about global best practices for some aspects of internal auditing, which is not similar to the way you would do it locally. Another aspect that we have to also understand, I always say people don't like it. The truth is that this exam is not your usual exam. There's a stringent passing criteria for CIA exam. And it is the same for other professional certifications. There's very high standard for passing. You must score at least 600 over 750. I mean, a scale of 600, you must have at least 600 on a scale of 750 points. That is around 80% to pass the exam. And this can be very tough, given the challenges or difficulty of some questions and the volume of material and the broad scope and comprehensive coverage of the common body of knowledge for internal auditor. So, because of these factors, you will need extensive preparation, both in terms of studying the theory and also applying the practical element of internal auditing according to the IIA's IPPF. So all of these contributes, all of these and many more contributes to the low pass rate for the exam. Now, let's start. Most times, CIA candidates miss these essential CIA exam taking tips. There are many of them. We talk about some, we apply them before we move on. So let us analyze the other aspects of this exam, because if you understand these techniques, in my own way, I always paste these techniques on my wall where I read in the morning. I just ensure that I know them and I use them and I'm used to them every time I take question on the CIA exam. So this is very important. Knowing this, applying them could be the most important thing that you need to do in the exam. Now, let's move on. The first thing you need to do is to start by reading the question. And just read the question. Read the question. There are times you will encounter some question with lot of paragraphs, lot of background information. What you just need to do is to go to the end and read the question first. Now, If you look at this question, this exam requires that you don't spend more than 72 seconds on one question. It requires that you don't spend more than 72 questions, 72 seconds on one question, and you have these details to read. The truth is that you might not require all this information to get the right answer. So you need to use this method to save time. You need to concentrate on the details, important details or essential details for the question. So when you go back to the introduction, okay, now that you know what you are looking for. Looking at this question here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can say this is about 5 paragraphs of details. 5 or 4 paragraphs. So in total, we have 189 words. Somebody said he can't hear. The person should work on his or her audio. If you can hear me clearly, please, you can just react. Please, you can just react. Okay, thank you. So that person should work on his or her audio. So as I was saying, we have about 4 to 5 paragraphs, and you need only 72 seconds to spend on this. How do you do it? You need to go to the end and read the question first, so that you know what is important to you. This question has 189 words. So how many seconds will it take you to read the paragraphs, to consider the whole context of the question, and to analyze your answer? How many seconds do you think it will require for you to do this? But you need to focus on one thing. Oh, okay. You need to focus on something, which is this question. What is the question? Now, if you look at the question and you read again, you realize that what would be the best approach? What would be the best reporting relationship? So you are looking for reporting relationship, which is under independence, which is under domain 2, the second domain of essentials of internal auditing, under independence. Now, if you look at the first question, the first option, the second option, the third option, you go back again. Once you know the question, you read, where can I get the area talking about independence? Even without reading this question, you might guess the answer. Administratively and functioning to the president, administratively to the president and functionally to the board, administratively to the chief financial. You can guess, I can guess, even without reading it, that this will likely be the answer. B will likely be the answer. That is it. I can guess because I know what is happening. Now, are you getting my points now? If you are getting my points, please just thumb up, react. I want to be sure that this could be what is missing for some people. The difference between getting 599 or 592. This could be the difference between getting 600 or 592 or 598 or 599. This could be the difference it is. Now, the challenge is that candidates will not know about this kind of technique. They would waste their time, maybe spend the double of 72 minutes, maybe 144 seconds on that same question, which is not good for us. So in my opinion, as an internal auditor taking this exam, you will have to focus on what matters. Let's move on. Let's look at another technique before we go. Okay. Now, no. Make sure to understand the question thoroughly. Okay, fine. You saw a question with a lot of detail. You read the question. I said earlier, you can guess. You have 25% chances of getting the correct answer if you even guess. It's better than not selecting an option at all. So you can guess, but it is always good to use educated guess. Educated guess is better than just guessing. However, merely looking at the questions, I can guess and I will say guess right. Now, you need to ensure to carefully read the question. Sometimes you may need to read it many times. You need to understand what that question is asking you. When you are responding to questions in the CIA exam, be careful or be attentive to keywords such as most, all, false, except, not. Those things are very important. You need to exercise caution with this kind of question. Most especially questions that are negatively worded, they can be tricky. Those type of questions can be tricky. Look at the question. In your GLEM, if you are using GLEM, you may see them emphasizing the most, all, except, not, false, always. You may see those things emphasized, those words emphasized. But the IIA, the real exam will not emphasize it for you. So you have to be you must be the one to pay attention. You have to pay attention to those keywords. Now, let's look at this question. Reengineering is the thorough analysis, fundamental rethinking, and complete redesign of essential business processes. The intended result is a dramatic improvement in service, quality, speed, and cost. This is just defining reengineering for you. But the real question is, an internal auditor's involvement in reengineering should include all of the following except, even if you don't consider the details. If you know the meaning of reengineering before, good for you. If you don't know, now you have a definition for it. So the question says, an internal auditor's involvement in reengineering should include all of the following except one. Except just one. What are you looking for? It means if you understand the question, you are looking for what internal auditors should not do in reengineering. And if you look at D, answer D, designing the implementation of the redesigned process, that is taking management responsibilities for control. Because designing, installing, or drafting procedures for operating system or project is presumed to impair your objectivity as an internal auditor. So if you know your responsibility regarding internal control, you will not go for anything apart from this D. We will still talk about what we call it elimination. So it is easy for me to eliminate if I understand internal audit responsibilities regarding internal control, because this is just internal control question. If you look at the second question, it says, which situation is most likely, another issue, a violation of the IIA's code of ethics? Most likely. Most likely. So you are looking for a violation. Others are not, maybe let's say they are not violation. You are looking for that specific violation. Now, if you look at A, B, C, D, immediately reporting a violent crime observed at work to local law enforcement agency. You can do that by law. As a citizen, you can do that. Everyone has a legal obligation or moral obligation to do such. But look at A. reporting apparent violations of antitrust statutes by officers to government regulators. I will ask you, my CIA candidates are here. They know I always say, who sent you that one? Who sent you that? Nobody actually. The IAA Code of Ethics did not send you to do that. So you are expected to cooperate with the government criminal investigation of the organization. Good. That is legitimate requirement. So it means that you need to understand what the Code of Ethics says. Now, another area that you can also think about is before you look at the question, sometimes before you look at the options, sometimes you will know what the answer will be in your mind based on your extensive study and preparation. Based on the question, you will know what the answer will be without even looking at the options. So after carefully reading and understanding the question, you need to come up with your own answer before looking at the options that you have. So you will have a very high likelihood of having at least one answer that will appear to be correct to you. And it could help you to eliminate any other options. Now, let's look at this question. The standard consists of 3 types of standards. I know attribute standards, performance standards, and implementation standards. Now, because they said 3, I know them. But the real question says, which standards apply to the characteristics of, now the key word is characteristics. I know. Characteristics equals attributes. So I'm looking for attributes. I am looking for what? Attributes. So C says attribute standards. So before you look at the options that are available, sometimes you will know what the answer will likely be. You will know what the answer will likely be. And it will help you to use your elimination method or elimination technique appropriately. The second question says, the purpose, authority, and responsibility of the internal audit activity are formally defined. I know without having to look at the option. Based on the standard, it should be defined in the charter. So there are some questions that will come like that, no matter how difficult you think those questions is. There are questions that will come like that. And there's an option that says a formal written charter. A formal written charter. That is, before I check it, I know. So there are some questions that you will always know in the exam. That even if there will be other options, you have to consider what you know first before talking about any other available option. Now, let's look at more techniques. Eliminate options that are clear distractions. Now you need to learn another area. This is the way this exam is set up. If you don't know, now you must know. And we'll take some questions using this technique very soon. Normally, you will have 4 options: A, B, C, and D. Inside the two, in the 4 options that you will have for this exam, there are 2 obvious or clear distractors or distractions. Those distractors seem to be incorrect. We have 2 remaining. There is one that is likely to be feasible or plausible or probable or any other English you want to use, but it is still incorrect. So I said there is one option that is likely to be correct, but still incorrect. There is one option that is probably or probable to be correct. However, it is still incorrect. And there is one that is correct. That is how this exam is designed. how you pass this exam depends on how early you can eliminate those distractors. If you can eliminate those first two, you will have 50-50 chances of, even if you want to guess, you have 50-50 chances of getting the right answer if you are able to eliminate those two distractors. Now, there's another thing that you must understand, which is the fact that everything depends on your level of extensive preparation. Whether you will be able to eliminate the two distractors as early as possible depends on your level of preparation for this exam. Those two options that seem incorrect, how early you can eliminate them depends on your preparation. I know by practice or by residual knowledge, I'm able to eliminate some obvious distractors when I see CIA questions. So if you do this many times, it means you prepared well for this exam. So another area that you need to also be careful about is the fact that you have to know how to narrow down the correct answer. First, we say, once you are able to identify those clear distractors, eliminate them. Another issue is the fact that you need to watch out for absolute words. Always, never in those options. Options that include always and never. You have to be very cautious with those options because circumstances often do not align with this extreme or absolute scenario. So be careful of these absolute words. You will see them, and when you see them and you look at them and you understand the question and those options, you can easily eliminate them. Another issue is that if you find two identical options, you should know that they are both incorrect. They are both incorrect. And you know, this morning, I think a CIA candidate had already told me this about a question that we post on our CIA group, CIA exam group. Somebody said some options are the same, although they are not the same. But if you see options that are the same, they are incorrect. So you can easily eliminate two options when this is saying the same thing. However, when two options are opposing each other, know that one of them must be correct. At least one of them is correct. So your judgment should be based on selecting the most inclusive option. Your judgment should be selecting the most inclusive option. So what is most inclusive option in a CIA exam scenario? What is the most inclusive option? It means that option encompasses broad range of possibilities, not limited. It means that option covers lot of scenarios or situations that is expected based on that principle or that standard. That option is the most comprehensive and broad among every other option. That option includes the greatest number of categories, scenarios, groups, individuals, not just a limited scope. So when you are selecting the most inclusive option, read the question carefully, analyze your choice, identify the option that covers the most scenario, the most categories, the most people, the most groups, the most individuals. Eliminate narrower or more specific options, choose the most comprehensive choice. That is how you answer question in CIA exam. That is how you answer questions in CIA exams. I hope we are following. If you are following me, just react. I need your reaction to know that you are following. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So this is the way you look at it. The exam is technical. So your option should always be the most inclusive one. It should always be the most inclusive one. So we have some characteristics of the most inclusive option, which we have defined based on how to achieve this. Now, let's look at some questions. Let's start with most inclusive option using that technique. Which of the following types of audit would include an examination of an organization's financial statement, internal controls, and financial audit only, and operating procedures? We are looking for the most inclusive. And that tells us that is integrated audit. Integrated audit includes financial, operational, compliance, control, IT. Now, they defined each of these separately. So this option D, this D encompasses multiple types of audit: IT, operational, financial, compliance, control, and is the most comprehensive and the most inclusive choice in the four options that we have. But my question is this: what if you don't know anything about integrated audit? React. I need your reaction. What if you don't know anything about integrated audit? What will be your reaction? React. What if you don't know anything about integrated audit? That tells you that you need to know a lot of things, because integrated audit is IIA as, okay, thank you very much, Solani. I love your reaction. You you are surprised. Yeah, thank you. Now, IIA as a practice guide on integrated audit. What if you have never seen that practice guide before? What if you didn't read anything about it before? That is where I'm going. So I've said your decision will depend on your level of extensive preparation for this exam. That is how to do it. Let's look at the next question. Support from which persons or combination of persons listed below is most important to the success of the internal audit department? In my opinion, option A is a distraction, and it is incorrect. I will just eliminate it. What is it saying? In my opinion, option C, thank you for your response. I'm seeing that. I saw that chart. Thank you. Option B is also a distraction, and it is incorrect because it is similar to option A. Look at A and B. So I will eliminate it. If you look at option D, option D is likely to be the answer, but it is still incorrect because it is not the most inclusive option. That is option D. Although we have audit committee here, but it is not the most inclusive option. And that is why that candidate that responded said it is C. C is the most inclusive option because you need the support of both the management and the board. There are some times where there will be conflicts between you and your clients, between your department and your clients. So you will need the support of senior management and the board. This is CIA technique. Thank you. Let's move on. Now, we also have, okay, I don't know, there's a delay. I hope I am not having network issue. Okay, thank you very much. Somebody said this. The second question is more clear than the first. That is good. That is good. And that was why I said in the first question that the issue is what if you do not know about integrated audit? That was why I said that IIA provided a guidance for us on integrated audit. Now, let's move on. Now, let's look at those distractions again. You need to be careful of these always and never. Always and never. Always and never. Let's look at the question. An employee should not be able to visit the organization's safe deposit box containing investment securities without being accompanied by another employee. The real question is, what would be a possible consequence of an employee being able to visit the safe deposit box unaccompanied? That is your question. Now, if I'm looking for always and never, fine. This is just a webinar, so I can just look for it, but don't do it in the exam. You still have to read all of the options, please, in the exam. Now, I'm looking for an option that has never. We have the employee could pledge security. The employee could steal securities and the theft will never. Look at this. Never. Then there's another one, impossible here. That tells me those options should be eliminated. And one, I'm talking about impossible. That absolute word. That never tells you that you will hardly find a circumstance where that scenario will suffice. That is what another technique that you can look in elimination. No, I do not think so. I do not think so. Somebody responded with D. But what about the option A? Let's option A. The employee could pledge organizational investment as a security for a short-term personal bank. A, thank you. Thank you. So if we have eliminated option B and option C, you are left with only A and D. But it's not D, because the bank is expected to maintain record of visits to the vault or to the safe box. Now, let's talk about the next one. The next question says, in the course of their work, internal auditors must be alert for fraud and other forms of white-collar crime. The question says, the important characteristic that distinguishes fraud from other varieties of white-collar crime is that, can you look for always or never in this one? Now, thank you very much. I'm seeing your response from the chat. Can you try to look for absolute word among the options? If you can find one, send a chat. Okay. B says, unlike other white-collar crimes, fraud is always perpetrated against. You can see always there. There's always here. Always is in B. So you can easily eliminate B. Because even without the always, it is correct. It is incorrect. Now, we know the answer, okay, because of the definition of what we call it, of fraud. A is the answer. A is the answer because of the definition of fraud. Fraud is characterized by deceit, concealment, or violation of trust. Do you have anything like never here? No. So these are just techniques that can help you to select or eliminate. Now, let's see another one. Don't be fooled by the length of answer. Don't do that. That will be the last technique I'll be. There are so many other techniques, but don't worry. These are the most important ones for now. Before we go into the normal questions that you can respond using chat, using your, if you have a scanner, a QR scanner, a QR code scanner on your phone, please, to be very useful when we move to the next questions soon. And if you don't have, check the chat. You can download one on Google Play Store. Your phone may have inbuilt QR scanner on it. You can use it, or you can go to your Apple Store to download a QR code scanner so that you can respond to these questions yourself. The other questions that you'll be seeing yourself, and you can feel it. Now, it is normal to assume that the longer the option, the more likely the answer will be correct. So that is just a misconception about test taking. The longer the question, the more likely the longer the option or the answer, the more likely that option will be incorrect in the CIA exam, please. So you should know that it can be challenging. Okay, it can be challenging to even write or develop incorrect choices than the correct one. So the longest answer is just as likely to be incorrect, in my opinion. Are you with me? Are you listening to this? You cannot say because the option is so long, the answer is long, it's going to be correct. No. The longer it is, the more likely it will be an incorrect answer in this exam. Now, let's look at this question. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002 imposes which of the following requirements? This question and the options has 80 words. Now, let's break them down. Option D, which is the longest word, which has the longest words among the options, has 25 words. This D is the longest. It has 25 words. And that means option D alone is about has 31% of the whole word, the whole words in this whole question and answer options. Just over 31%. If you look at option B, this B is also long. It has 20 words. That's also about 25% of the 80 words in the question and in the answer. So you can say option B and D, even with their length of words, they are still incorrect. And the question says, which is expected of you? The shortest answer here is even the right choice. The shortest answer here is the right answer. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Option C is not the shortest. However, C and A seem to be the shortest. Let's see what A says. The board of directors must be composed entirely of independent shareholders. Does that make sense? I don't think there's any requirement for that. Let's see C. The audit committee must be composed entirely of independent members of the board. That makes it correct. Now, if you look at the next question, this analysis is more obvious here. An internal auditor recently terminated by an organization due to downsizing has found a job with another organization in the same industry. The real question is, which of the following disclosures made by the internal auditor to the new organizations would constitute a violation of the IAS Code of Ethics? Blindly, if I have to blindly guess the answer, I will not go for any of these A to C. If you read this question very carefully and you understand the IA Code of Ethics very well, you will know that none of the answers represent a violation of the code, yet they are very long. C is the right answer for the first question, please. C is the right answer for the first question. Do you agree with me? And this other option is D. And the reason is because the context of the thing written in this long paragraph are not a requirement of the what do you call it, of the IA Code of Ethics. So I have added the link again. People asking for the QR code for Android. If you're using Android, you can just download that QR code scanner on Google Play Store. Now, let's test ourselves using our basic understanding of those techniques. This is why we are here. So I'm just going to pick. I said earlier on that we cannot take all possible questions. So there are some questions I will just keep. I can even skip it without you knowing from here. So if you are live, you can respond by just scanning the QR code on the screen. Now, the important aspect of this discussion is that I will now discuss those aspects of the CIA domains, remind you and emphasize some things that you should never forget when you are taking a CIA exam. So are people responding to these questions? If you are responding, I will know from here. Are you able to respond? No response yet. Are we scanning? Is anybody scanning? Yeah. I scanned, it worked, and I responded too. I responded. So who is responding? Okay, are we still responding? Okay. I want to know how many people responded to this question out of the whole number of people on this call. Let's check how many people responded. Just a minute. Okay, just to be sure if you responded. Let's see the people that responded. So, because I want to make a judgment now on your response. Now, so far, we have 8 people responded. And 80%, okay, got it. People are still responding. 10 people responded so far. 10 responded so far out of about 20-something people in the call. Okay, now. Okay, 80% said the correct answer is D. 80% of participants said the correct answer is D. Just a minute. No, no, no. We are not there. We are not there yet. No, not there yet. But the answer is actually D. There are some things that I always tell CIA candidates. There are some options that you will select that I will ask you to go and start your reading all over again, or you join a review classes, or you get somebody, that can help you to guide you on this exam. Now, if you chose A, you are totally wrong. You are 100% wrong, in my opinion. Because 7% of us chose A. 7% of us chose A. A is incorrect. And the reason is very simple. How can you say a major reason for establishing an internal audit activity is to relieve overburden management of the responsibility for establishing control? Management is responsible for internal control. You should have eliminated that. If you are among the 7% that selected A, you need to work again on your study. No. Now, if you also chose B, B says safeguard resources entrusted to the organization. Why do we need governance, system and control instead of internal auditor? These are the things that people get wrong in practice, where they believe that internal auditors are safeguarding resources entrusted to the organization. That is the area of governance, risk management, and control. And inside governance, risk management, and control, everybody has their responsibilities. So you cannot choose B. You can't choose B. Now, when you look at C, ensure the reliability and integrity of financial and operational information. That is an internal control responsibility. We have already said in A that management is responsible for internal control. If you chose C again, in my opinion, fortunately, nobody chose C. Nobody chose C at the end. Nobody chose C. So now let me say this to every one of us. It is very important. It is very important to understand roles and responsibility in the CIA exam. You must understand roles and responsibility in this exam. If you don't understand roles and responsibility, you will not get this exam correctly. Okay, let's go back again. I hope we are following. Understand roles and responsibility in the CIA exam. To pass this exam, you must understand roles and responsibilities very well. So you may need to consult a guardian, somebody that can help you, or you go for CIA exam revision classes. Remember, what we are doing here is just to learn. Is just to learn how to apply those techniques, because those are the things you'll be learning in practice. Respond to this question so that I can guide you. Respond to this question. Please respond. I'm waiting for your responses. I am not seeing your responses. I am not seeing your responses, please. Where are your responses? Where are your 4 responses so far? And our time is going. 4 responses so far. Okay, okay. 4 responses so far. Only just 4 responses. And the 4 responses are 100% correct. Only 6 responses so far. Six responses. Okay, let's just move on. I'm still waiting. If you want to respond, please do that quickly. If you want to respond, please do that quickly. Quick response. Only 8. Only 8. We are not getting enough. We are not getting enough responses as expected. We are not getting enough responses as expected. We are not getting responses as expected. Only 9 responses so far. Please do that so I can correct areas you might be wrong. That's the essence of this revision. That's the essence of joining this session. Okay, people are done. Okay, I'm still trying to see your responses. I'm waiting. So, based on your response, 12 participants responded so far, and 91% chose option A. 91% chose option A. Now, let's see what we have. Okay, A, we see A. Okay, for choosing A, you are all correct. Now, my problem is what other participants chose. 7% chose option C. Why did you choose C? C says the internal audit activity performed a thorough review of the transportation department the previous year. So, and so what? And so what? I ask myself, and so what? Because normally, your engagement should be scheduled based on your risk assessment because you are prioritizing the risk facing your organization. So why are we talking about the internal audit activity performed a thorough review of the transportation department the previous year? And so what? So we don't have to do anything again. The question says the transportation department of a publicly held company has asked the internal audit department to review the design specifications for a proposed new warehouse and repair facilities. The best reason for the internal audit activity to decline this is a engagement because it's a request. This is a request from a client. If you schedule your audit in terms of assurance engagement, you cannot decline it. You have scheduled the audit for the year. You can't decline what you scheduled yourself. But in a consulting engagement where the request is from your clients, if you do not have the competency to do it, you can decline it. If the request is not within the authority or the scope, the responsibility of the internal audit department, you can decline it. So based on this request, there's a This request is a consulting request, is a consulting engagement, is a consulting type of engagement, is an advisory type of engagement. Because when you look at it, it say it asks the department to review the design specification for a proposed before it is implemented. Proposed. So be careful if you have chosen what do we call it, if you have chosen that option C, be very, very careful. Now let's look at another question, but before that I want to try something again. I hope we are still learning from this discussion. If you are learning, if you are seeing new perspective from the way you approach the question before, even though you have seen the question before, you can thumb up to react. Yeah, thank you very much for responding that you are still learning. I'm saying hand up, but not now. Just hold on. When we get there, we will talk about. And okay, this is what I wanted to test. This is what I wanted to test. This is the earlier question. You can see the PowerPoint didn't load on the Microsoft Live. I don't know why. So I have to go back. I have to go out to reload it to see the options. This is what you did so far. This is now. This is another question which I want us to look at. Respond to this one so that we can leave this area and move to another set of questions. Can you please respond to this? So I expected the PowerPoint Live to load your responses, but it's not loading it. So I have to go and learn how to use the PowerPoint to load. But I know if I've loaded the document directly, it will work. But the problem is that the document is very big. So the volume of the size is too huge. It could affect the internet. And we tried it earlier. It took time before this. Please, I'm waiting for your response. Please, your response is needed. We tried it earlier, but it didn't work for us as intended. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm seeing your responses. I can feel you. Okay. Okay. 4 responses so far. 4 responses so far. 50% said it's A. 50% of the respondents says it's D so far. So far. Only 4 people responded so far. Okay. D, I'm not reading with you. I'm just waiting for your responses. We are still waiting, and you are taking our time. Your responses are taking time. Waiting for your responses. Nobody is responding. Okay, we have 17 responses so far. 17 responses so far. 52% said is D, 35% said is A, and 11% says is C. Now let's look at the context of the question. Let's look at the context of the question. Okay, which of the following is not appropriate for inclusion in internal audit charter is not. Okay. D says, because many people said it's D, this is authorization of the board to approve the charter. Okay, now I understand you. Board has this power to authorize, and we don't have to add it in the charter. So I agree with people that said D is correct, because you don't need that inclusion. Board has the power, so that is not needed. You include the nature of the CAE's functional reporting relationship with the, you need to include that. A, you need to do that. The nature of the CAE's functional reporting should be included in the charter. B, you need to authorize the internal auditors. They need to have access to things that is required to perform their audit. D, you need to define the scope of internal audit activities in the organization. You have to define it. So that is why, in my opinion, what we call it is wrong. D is wrong. So now, if you selected A, if you select A, why? I will ask you why. Why did you select A? Because in my opinion, the A should be part of what should be in the charter. So anybody that selected A, the 35% people out of the 17 that selected A, you need to go and study more. You need to go to classes. You need to get a mentor or a guardian to explain this to you better, or you need to read extensively, because it shouldn't have been A, in my opinion. It shouldn't have been what? A, in my opinion. Do you agree with me? If other participants in the session agrees with me, please react. It shouldn't have been A at all. You shouldn't have gone to A. There's no reason why you should go to A at all. Those 35% people, you need more work, more support, more guidance, more reading. That is my opinion. Yours may be different. Yours may be different. Or what do you think? Now, let's take more questions. Can we all see this on your screen? Can we all see this on our screen? You can react. I need your reaction. If you can see it on your screen, then you scan. Okay, thank you. I think this is better because this shows better. And I feel I should be able to see the reaction immediately. So you can respond to this question so that we can move on. Okay, you can see your responses are live now. Your responses are now live. I can see them. I hope you can see your responses too. Okay. Don't follow the crowd. The fact that you are seeing that people are choosing A does not mean you need to follow the crowd. Don't follow the crowd. Oh, okay. 9 responses so far. 9 responses so far. 9 responses so far, so good. Okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. We have 17 responses so far, but majority said is A. Now, let me guide you. I want to show the correct answer. Okay, I can click here now to show the correct answer. And I know some of you will have seen the reasons why you are wrong or right when you attempted the question on your phone. So let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is A. The organization level to which the internal audit activity reports to. Now, let me look at the next possible question. D is guaranteed when the charter specifically defines the activities independence. Please, if you select this question, it means you have not read or you have not been taught independence of internal audit department. The option that is most inclusive is still A. It gave us a lot of circumstances, a lot of possible scenarios sufficient to permit the accomplishment of the activities responsibilities. Okay, let's look at requires C requires only the board's annual approval of the engagement work schedule. What does that mean to you? I know you must have seen the option regarding this one. I know you must have seen the option. If you have seen the option, why it is wrong? I don't know why we went there. So I will still advise us that we need to read more because independence is about the positioning. It's about preventing external interference in how the internal audit department determine the scope of work, how they perform the work, and how they report the work that was done. This is how it is done. I hope we are clear. Who is responsible for the sufficiency of internal audit department human resources? Sufficiency. Sufficiency. I'm waiting. I am waiting. Its responses so far. Sufficiency. So we have only 11, 12 responses. Okay. Almost everybody is saying, giving us one option. Oh, okay. Can we hand this response here so I can speak about it? 12 responses so far out of the 29 or 28 people live. Are you waiting for me to share the okay, let me show you the correct answer. So 91% are correct. Now, as an internal auditor, if you think the audit committee is responsible for the sufficiency of the internal audit department, you are wrong. You are what? You are wrong. You are wrong. That is wrong. Very, very wrong. What the audit committee and the full board and the senior management will do is just to ensure that the resources are sufficient. They are not responsible for the sufficiency. Because those resources, they will be the one to approve if you need to increase the number of staff. That is why they are responsible to ensure that resources are sufficient based on the request of the CAE. So the CAE is responsible for determining the sufficiency. If it is adequate, if it is sufficient, if it is enough, the CAE must first determine that what he or she has is okay. If it is not okay, the CAE will take it to the board. So it is the responsibility of the board, the audit committee, and the senior management to ensure that based on the request of the CAE, the resources for the internal audit department is sufficient to perform, to carry out its responsibility. Do you agree with me? If you agree with me, please respond. Okay, based on our time, we started around what do you call it, 11:15 a.m. Nigerian time. It is already 1 p.m. Nigerian time. This should be the end of the session. However, if you want to go out of the session, you can. And I'm still here giving my best to CIA candidate because some of the participants are our registered CIA candidate. So even if the other people left, I will not expect those registered CIA candidates with us to leave. I know they will still stay. Some of them will still stay. So let's continue to have this discussion. I will have this discussion until I have maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 or 4 more questions so we can end the session. Then I will schedule another session on domain 5 and 6. Maybe next month, maybe towards the end of the month. But I will tell you when I want to have a session on only domain 5 and 6, revision like this. So maybe by that time I will have learned how to use my PowerPoint presentation better than this. Going out and coming in, I'm not comfortable with it. Because for me to upload this publicly, we have to sit down with it and cut out those times that we didn't show the expected picture. Why I was looking for one thing or the other. I have to cut them out before releasing it to the public. So it will be faster for people to listen, just listen to the audio and look at what is important only. 11 responses so far, and it seems everybody is following just one option. Eleven, 14, 14, 14, 15. I think the minimum responses has been 17. Okay, now let's take it at that's 15. I think that's 15 is enough, no problem. So we don't waste too much time. So all of you are correct. The question says, an internal audit department has scheduled an engagement relating to a construction contract, one portion of this and that and that. You know the question, you saw the question. I can see the question clearly here. However, the most important thing is that we are talking about competency, proficiency, and due professional care. That is a domain, that is under domain 3. That's it under domain 3. If you do not have competency to do something, get a consultant to help you do it. That is the requirement of the standard, and that is the requirement of the ethics. Competency principle. Competency principle. So if you do not have competency to do something, you are not expected to engage in areas you are not proficient or competent to work on. That is what you should learn from this question. Okay. An internal audit activity are scheduled and engagement relating to, okay, this is the one we just did. Isn't it? No. Let's try this. Okay, yeah, this is domain 4. Quality assurance and improvement program. Yeah. So if you want to respond this, you can respond directly from now. Ongoing monitoring by an internal audit department at QAIP, most likely are you responding? Are you responding? I'm seeing your responses, only 4 responses so far. Only 4 responses. Okay. Okay. 74 persons, and 75% are choosing A. Okay, it's not 33%, 57%. Oh, some people are choosing B. Okay. We have 50%. A and B are currently 50%. A and B. Oh, some people are now taking B. B has 66% now. Okay, 13 people responded so far. B has 69%. A has 30% so far. Okay. 14 people. Oh, everybody's just almost everybody are now focusing on B. 73% out of 15 people. So we have A 26%, B 73%. Let's check it. Let me check it. Let me see the question. Okay. Now, let me tell you the truth. Every one of you that chooses B are incorrect. You are all wrong. All of you selecting B, you are all wrong. If you chose B, it means you did not study your domain 4 very well, or you need to go for classes where that domain 4 can be explained, or you need somebody that can guide you, or you need to read on your own on that domain 4. All of you, all the 79% people that selected B, you are all wrong. Please note, the key word comprehensive has to do with the external. This keyword comprehensive provides a comprehensive, has to do with external quality assessment. It is not about internal quality assessment. The internal quality assessment focuses on reports, reviews at the engagement level. That is what we do on a daily basis in the internal audit department. When we conduct audit engagement, we review reports. That is ongoing monitoring. That's ongoing monitoring. We report. Before the reports are released, we review it. That's ongoing monitoring. That's an example of ongoing monitoring. We want to know if we are delivering quality and on an ongoing basis, engagement per engagement basis, engagement by engagement basis. That is it. So if you take B, I am shocked. If you selected B, I am shocked. I am what? I am shocked. So that number of people that selected B is too much, in my opinion. Is too much, in my opinion. So you need to learn. Sometimes it's just tell somebody will just tell you what that matter. Sometimes it's not about what you read. Some people can read alone and understand those concepts to pass the exam on their own. I can tell you, Boli, I went for CIA classes twice, only twice for CIA classes. Okay, let's say 3 times. The one I went for in 2011, yes, no, it's twice now. I went for one in 2011. I went for one in 2016. That is my CIA part one only. I went for only CIA part one in 2011. When I wanted to take the exam in 2016, I went for CIA class again. And I passed. I don't care about how much I spent. It doesn't matter. But I'm not among that. I never had a record. Honestly, I never had any record of failing any part before. So if I thought I knew it based on the training I went for in 2011, I could fail the exam. But I still went for the exam, for the classes in 2016, where the person facilitating the class was my course mate in 2011. What I'm saying is that the person that facilitated the class in 2016 was the person that we were both in the same training together in 2011. It doesn't matter. And after CI part, and after that class, I didn't go for classes for CI part 2 or CI part 3 because now I understood all of these techniques. I had a very strong foundation on the foundation of internal auditing or essentials of internal auditing, where I built my CI part 2 and CI part 3 on. Yes, I was able to study alone for CI part 2 and 3 with the right resources, with the right support, with the right guidance. That was what happened to me. So if you are still here, please be careful. Now, let's see another question. In the context of a quality assurance and improvement program, KRP, periodic self-assessment. Now, we want you to talk about what periodic self-assessment is based on this option. It means that you must know periodic self-assessment as part of the internal assessment. You know, we have two things in internal assessment. We have the ongoing monitoring and the periodic. This is the other part. The first one we did was the ongoing. This first question is about the ongoing. This is the second part of the internal assessment. That is the understanding. So tell me what it is now. Let's see your options so far. Some people are responding. 5 responses so far. 40% chose A, 20% chose B, and 40% chose third D so far. I'm waiting. So once we have 15 responses, we will move on. Okay. Oh, we are seeing lots of people. We have seen many people selecting B, 50% B. Nobody should select D. I saw somebody selecting D. If you are one of the people that select 10 people that selected D, then I am afraid of your internal audit practice or your CIA preparation. I'm afraid. That's the truth. Our CIA candidate know that I always tell them the honest truth. Although I still want to pamper you, but the truth is that there are some options that I always tell them, don't go there. They will tell you, Progressive Alaba will say, don't go there, don't near it. Because I don't expect any CIA candidate to near such option. So for you to near such option, then I'm afraid of how you practice this, your internal auditing. I am what? I am afraid of your learning, of your practice. I am afraid. I am afraid. So let's see. I mean, we have only 12 responses so far. So now, let me tell you the truth. The correct answer is this. This is the correct answer. And I will tell you the reason. I said earlier, internal assessment has two parts. One is ongoing monitoring of the performance of the internal audit department. The second one is periodic self-assessment or assessment by other person within the company with sufficient knowledge of internal audit practice. Now, that periodic can be annual. It can be semi-annual. It depends on the agreement between the head of internal audit department, senior management, and the board. So it can be annual, it can be semi-annual. But what we want to bring out of the place is here. Here, the key area here is that this is done by other person within the company with sufficient knowledge of internal audit practices. Who are those people that can do it? Although the periodic self-assessment or periodic assessment will still test conformance with the code of ethics and all the standards. The truth is that the people that perform this task are the one we are looking for. It is the external one that emphasize that evaluation of conformance with the performance standards. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. This is totally wrong. This is totally wrong. Even the external is not emphasizing only performance standards. It is not. This is not an inclusive response. If you are looking for, if you chose this, determine whether quality is delivered on an engagement by engagement basis, this is ongoing. Primary involve continuous activities. This is also ongoing monitoring. The emphasis of conformance with performance standard is also ongoing, in my opinion. Because ongoing monitoring emphasizing evaluating conformance with performance standard. That is the meaning of this engagement by engagement basis that we are talking about. Because when you are performing audit, those standards related to how we perform audit are the performance standards. Performance standard 2100 and the likes. You have to understand the context of this question. You can see now everything here are ongoing monitoring. From here, option B, C, and D are all ongoing monitoring. They are all ongoing monitoring. Yet, I want to say, yes, 50% people selected B, 25% of the respondents selected C, and 8% selected D. You may need somebody that will have to help you to understand these facts very well. If I were you, based on the technique I mentioned earlier on, if this guy and this guy, I will eliminate them. And I know, since I look at this, if it is based on performance standard, it is ongoing that look at performance standard specifically, because we perform audits every time based on our policies and procedures, and those policies and procedures should be in conformity with the standard. Which standard? Which aspect of standard? So I will have erased all of this area, eliminated them. Whether A is correct or not, I will still go with my A. In the exam, I always tell people, sometimes you may not be, you won't be, many times you will not be sure if you are getting it, but your judgment is what is key. And that judgment, making the right judgment, is based upon your extensive learning, how you have established what you know to be true about this exam. Now, let's take additional question. Let's see, before we end. I just have only two more questions. If we can still take them before I leave here. At least I know that I cover aspects of domain 1 to 4. If we schedule another session, it's going to be only domain 5 and 6. Governance, risk management, control, and fraud risk. So that is it. Now, let's look at this question. Are you responding to this question already? Let me see if you are responding. The truth is that I have to go to the PowerPoint presentation to see if you are to see your response. So I have to get out because I don't want to be. I have learned my lesson. I know what happened, so it won't be like this next class. Don't worry. Next, I shall do the revision. Only 2 responses so far. 50-50. 50-50. Only 2 responses so far. 50-50. So some people selected A and some people selected C. So C is coming down while A is rising. Some are also selecting D. 4 responses so far, please. And I'm also seeing some people responding from the chat. Don't worry, no problem. Just know what you selected. It's good that you know your option. So even if you are wrong, only 6 responses so far. Only 6 responses so far. We are still 27 in the call. Some people left, no problem. It is also work for me to sit and cut this recording because I may not be able to upload it directly to YouTube where people can watch it. I hope I'll be able to sit and cut it so that I will reduce the duration and cut away those areas that we didn't do anything before posting it to YouTube. So how many responses so far? Let me check. 10 responses. It's like people are now afraid to respond. Some people are now afraid to respond. No, I have 11. So let me tell you the correct answer now. For those people who selected A, you are correct. 72% of participants selected A. 18% selected C, and 9 selected D. Now, let me scold you. The question says, external assessment of an internal audit department is likely to evaluate, is not likely to evaluate, is not likely, is not likely. It is likely that external assessment will evaluate conformance with the standard. That is the number one thing that it will do. I'm talking about option B. Conformance with the standards and the code of ethics. B, it will evaluate adherence to the internal audit activities charter, because that is where the purpose, authority, and responsibility of the charter have been established. And D, the internal audit staff expertise will also be looked in, because the competency of the internal audit department is required by the standard, and also principle 4 of the code of ethics. It's also required in principle 4. So that will be part of it. But the detailed cost benefit analysis of the internal audit activity is a no-no. That is not expected. So I'm talking about external assessment will look at conformance with the code of ethics and the standards. It will look at the expectations of the stakeholders, board, senior management, operations management, and others. It will look at the efficiency and effectiveness of the internal audit department. That's all. You will consider how, or if, or whether the internal audit department has value. But you don't expect it to consider A, detailed cost benefit analysis. No, not so. If you select A, everyone that selected A, you are correct. But everyone that selected option C and D, you do not understand the requirements of the EQA, external quality assessment. You do not understand. You need to learn more. You need to read more. You need to. It's not about taking practice questions, because you have to practice. You have to understand before you practice. So that was why I said earlier, it's not about the number of practice questions that you have. Some people will come and say, Alaba, share practice questions. It's not about practice questions. It's about learning. You have to learn, understand the concept, the context, the principles, and the standards before you talk about practice questions. You can take 100 questions, 2,000 questions, and still not understand the principle. So what is the benefit of taking many questions without understanding why you are wrong? Now, let's look another question at this one. Permit us. Potential conflict of interest with the quality assurance team should be disclosed to who? This is about the reporting. I am now leading you. This question is about reporting. Reporting EQA. Reporting the results of the EQA. So if you understand it, please respond. This is about reporting requirements of the EQA. So sometimes when we are online and we are in so many WhatsApp or Telegram, people will share questions and they will say A is correct, B is correct. Do people actually understand why A is correct, B is correct? Do people actually understand the context and the contents of the exam to say B is correct or A is correct? So, only 3 responses so far. Please watch out. The keyword disclosed. Disclosure requirement. We are looking for disclosure requirement. So if you understand that standard on disclosure requirement, you understand what to do here. And if you understand the way I shout like this in the classes, to ensure that you understand the salient point in the content, then you will not miss this question. So, how many people so far? Only 8 so far. Why are you afraid? Why are you all afraid? So, 8 persons responded so far. 62% said it is D. 37% said it is option B. 9 persons have responded so far. What have you? What are we waiting? Let's make it 10 people. Okay, some people actually responded on chat. So I should just discuss this question and move on. Some people actually responded in the chat. So now, let me scold you. I said this question is about disclosure requirements. If you don't understand that standard about disclosure or reporting QAIP, then you will miss it. The correct answer is actually this. The correct answer is D. If you selected Chief Audit Executive, C, B, that is wrong. Why? That is wrong. Why? You don't expect it to be disclosed to the internal audit department. Why? It is the responsibility of the CAE to disclose to senior management and the board. So why do you choose? Is there anybody chose a lot of people that B? Why? 33% chose B. It is the responsibility of the CAE to disclose. To senior management and the board. That is the keyword. So CAE must disclose or communicate the result of the QAIP to senior management and the board. And that disclosures should include things like potential conflict of interest, independence of the assessors, and things like that. Finally, let's look at this so that we can close it. External assessment as part of a QAIP of an internal audit function may be performed by, I'm talking about external. Please note, this is talking about external assessment. Let me emphasize it for you. External. Who is responding? That's the final for today. We will set another time before the end of the week. Before the end of the month. Only 2 responses so far. That's the last question. So just respond so that I can close, I can conclude and close. Are you afraid? Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Let us learn more, read more, understand more, so that we can fear less. I'm still waiting. I'm seeing some responses in the chat. Okay, no problem. That's still good. Okay, so far, only 5 responses from the chat, from the online platform. And Everybody is selecting C. I don't know why. Everybody is selecting C. Okay, now I know why. But what if C is wrong? Let me see. Is there anyone selecting any other thing in the chat? Let me see the chat. Some people are selecting C, 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 C. Okay, everybody is selecting C from the chat. But so only one person selected D from the chat. I'm still waiting. Okay, no problem. It's like everybody agreed that C is the correct answer. Oh, it has changed. It has changed. Somebody selected A. Okay, 12% selected A. Why 87% selected C. Let's look at it carefully. Why are people selecting A? A says it can be performed by a former employee who provides significant consulting services. That employee could have real or apparent conflict of interest. Have you forgotten that conflict of interest doesn't have to be in actual fact? In fact, it can be apparent. It can be presumed. If you have studied this domain well, or you are guided well, you should run for this. Because when we did independence and objectivity, you must understood what could be an apparent or actual, the context that we are talking about. So in my opinion, I will go with people that said external assessor with no real or apparent conflict. You have this and you selected A. You still need work to do. So matters concerning independence include conflict of interest. And a former employee of firm providing consulting services could appear not to be objective or not to be independent. So normally, I do not expect you to go to that area at all. There are some things, if you study hard, studied well or extensively, you will not make that mistake in this exam. So you may need to consult more resources. You may need to consult people. You may need to go to classes. You may need to talk to people for help. And you may need to go for private classes. You may need to do a lot of things. But the truth is that this CIA exam is not a usual exam. It's technical and it's highly specialized. You need to prepare very well. Anything you know, you must know it very, very well. And you have to be sure. And you must not be overconfident of what you know too. Because sometimes when we are too sure that we know it, we don't pay attention to the details of question. That is my advice. People will not pay attention to the details of the question just because they know it. Now, what do you need to do? You need to take your time. Don't say Alaba took it in 3 years. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you take that exam, the exam at your own time, and you pass it. There is nothing to rush for. Take your exam at your own time. There is nothing to rush for. If you rush, there's high likelihood that you will miss some things on the journey to certification. So as far as I'm concerned, as an internal auditor and as a professional, And also as a facilitator, there is a way we will say some things that you will not forget. That's one advantage of going for classes or listening to somebody supporting you or helping you or guiding you on the exam. There are some things that somebody will just pick out for you from the point, and that will stick. Sometimes you don't get it when you are studying on your own. Sometimes you need to consult others that are taking this exam, and you are sure that what they are doing is right. And I will end by saying, although you will be looking for many questions, please be careful of the kind of question you are using to practice. Some questions will confuse you the more. Let me give you an example. If the questions that the question banks are not providing rationale or reasons why some questions are wrong or right, you are in trouble. I can show you many questions that I have, and I know they are always on many platforms. They will not help you. And if you have to use your hand to cover the answer from the question, it will not help you. Go and get an online test prep. All of you looking for shortcut, PDF test banks, it will not help you because the stress of having to cover, or you have already seen the answer. You need to practice as if you are going for the exam. So somebody is asking question. No, okay. Okay, let me see the question. Somebody, is it advisable to study and finish the material first and then do question after? No. My CIA candidates in this discussion know that that is not our technique. Our technique is to test ourselves progressively based on level. If the study material you are using, organize the questions as per section. Once you finish that section, test yourself. If you are using a study platform that uses subdomains, subsections, and you are using their test banks for your practice, once you finish that subdomain, test yourself. That's the technique. Don't finish a whole chapter or a whole domain before testing yourself. You will miss a lot of things again in that journey. So my name is Progressive Alaba Awolaja once again. Thank you so much for coming for this CIA revision class. We'll be having, since we are not having our CIA classes again, we concluded our last classes for this year last month, September 21. So what we only do now is, okay, if I'm free, I will schedule a revision like this with people so I can add some little things to them and so on. And if there are other people that may want to watch our classes, no problems. You can conduct and you can consult me later if you want to watch our classes video. But this one, I will work on it and cut it, then share it on YouTube so that some other people can benefit from it. However, we do not share our classes with the public because people paid for those classes. And if you want to join our community group, however, our registered share candidate has a group where they can easily engage me. There are so many platforms, so many groups that you can go where they share questions. I know them. I am also there. But if you need personalized guidance or private guidance, that is why we have a group for people that actually registered for our classes. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Look at another time within the month. If I didn't schedule a date, please put me under pressure because I might forget. If you didn't see any date from me in the next 1 month, you can just call me or send me a message and say, when is my next CIA class? Thank you very much. You can chat me on WhatsApp. You can contact me on LinkedIn. We can continue this discussion. Normally, I provide this guidance every time. So you don't have to pay for our classes before you call me to ask me question. This is what I do every day. You can call me. If you have issues, you can call me. I will provide. That's why I'm a thought leader in the profession. I will attend to you. But we have some people who have subscribed that will give personalized attention to, apart from you just calling me or asking me question. Thank you very much and have a wonderful weekend. My name is Progressive Alaba Awolaja once again. Bye for now.